Uachtarani higeen agus a bhainní higeen, uachtarani vorachú agus a bhainní vorachú. Charde. Okay, full disclosure, they said you have 2 minutes, forget that. Not after President Higgins' speech. I mean, some of you will be familiar with the concept of the hospital pass. Yeah. Following President Higgins' error is a profound error, but then as my life has been spent steeped in error, why change my ways now? Nila den of chamas seaniuh, ach ma bhuiachas a gháil, ach sin díreach an aib as the tágam. Líon na nína, a bhfuil ma bhuiachas tilta acha. Today, my heart is filled with gratitude. Gratitude. What a wonderful word. I want to express that gratitude first to the two men who began this journey with me, my co-editor Jean Lambert and Eamon Martin, the business manager for this project, from the first day we dreamed it up to, that was 22 years, 5 months, 3 weeks and 5 days ago. For some reason that stuck in my mind. And Jean Lambert is an habitually shy man, and he will not speak today, but I want to thank him, and I want you to join me in thanking him for the enormous work he put into making this happen. I would write the story of how the book is read, but frankly, nobody would believe it. I defy anybody in computer science to write the algorithm that would describe even just the mechanics of putting this book together. I want to remember here too the late Trevor Scott, who was the design consultant for the book, and Dennis Brown, the calligrapher, who was fresh out of school, the first Irish person and the youngest person ever to be elected a Fellow of the Royal College of Scribes and Illuminators. Under Trevor's guidance, I think it is the first time it can be said that Dennis Brown's genius, and I use the word carefully, flourished. Between them, they did magnificent work. I want to thank a number of people whose financial assistance, sometimes willing, sometimes I think we left people wondering just why they'd agreed to give us money and what for. But AIB, for instance, Ulster Bank especially, who gave us the money to finalise the book. All those who wittingly or unwittingly gave us the means to make this book possible. I think they probably had a sense of what it was like to be visited by Blackbird and Captain Kidd sometimes, but then that didn't bother us, to be honest. As long as the book got made, we didn't care. We were, and I don't want you to misunderstand me, pure Leninists. Our attitude was by any means necessary. And it happened. I want to thank Joe Katz of Vellum and Parchment Works in Selbridge, who rescued his company from oblivion a week after we decided to make the book. We suddenly found ourselves without a source of vellum, and Joe somehow miraculously pulled it back. I also want to thank a man called Eugene Glynn, whom nobody here will have heard of. Eugene was in charge of the chainsaw gang in Tour Ballylee, who were cutting down the elms that Yeats had planted there all these years ago. And we just decided, talked ourselves into making this book, and happened to notice in the paper that the trees were being cut down, and thought, wouldn't that be nice for the N board? So we got a number for his mobile. And so Eugene Glynn, God bless him, gets a phone call out of the blue from someone he's never heard of, and the gist of the call was, Eugene, would you keep one of those trees for us? Oh yeah, grand. And that's where the elm from Tour Ballylee came from. That was a different Ireland. Now you'd need a health and safety statement before you could make the call. I want to thank the former Director of Conservation in Trinity College Dublin. There are so many people here I can't see if he's here. Anthony Keynes, whose patience with these barbarians knew no bounds. He taught us how to make a vellum book. He rescued it from some of the worst excessive artists, and he bound a book for us in a skin he had kept, a Sardinian goat skin he had kept since he worked as a volunteer recovering the priceless books in the Florentine libraries after the great floods in the early 1970s. The master craftsman Eric Pearce made the book, and they made the box, and Brian Clark made the ingenious silver clasp. The trustees who guarded the book for nearly 2 decades deserve our thanks. And I know that they, like me, are particularly grateful to our colleague Keith Poole, whose steady perseverance and calm hand on the tiller did so much to keep us on course during the tortuous process of delivering the book into the loving hands of the university. I want to offer my thanks, and by extension the thanks of all the contributors to the book, To those generous benefactors who made it possible for UCC to acquire this book, I trust their generosity comes back to them tenfold, and that some of that tenfold comes back to UCC. It was a huge act of trust on the part of the contributors to give their work freely to this unprecedented project. Not just because, any more than ourselves, they could not have been sure it would ever come to fruition. They gave their work for the sake of a dream, and also, very practically, to make a contribution to two deserving charities. In many senses, these contributors made a gift of their work to the nation, but also to the future. The book is a testament to the best of who we were at a particular point in our history, a message projected into an unknown future. It will speak of us when everyone here present will be dust on the wind. And that seems to me a brave, a generous, even a sacred act of trust. I say with confidence and with simplicity that between them, all of the contributors to this great book have made a powerful, magical object that will continue to exert its inspirational power in this place for centuries to come. Small minds and shriveled souls will doubt this. Let us see what happens. Now, that's the safe bit out of the way. I stopped writing at that point. I want to thank Michael Murphy for his faith in the proposition when John Fitzgerald and I came at him from two sides simultaneously. He said, "Do you know you're going to buy this book?" It happened because I was walking up Grafton Street and I ran into John, and he said, "Whatever happened to that great book?" And we were standing 50 yards from the bank vault where the book was at then residing. Some short time later, that wonderful man, Joe Gavin, the former city manager, and I were having a meeting before the meeting of Cork 2005, and I saw John going past, and a little handbell tinkled in my head. I said, "John, do you want that book?" "Oh yeah." And that was it. That started it. Okay, it took 7 years, but then lots of things take time. I thought it was truly inspirational for John to see the possibility for this university of what having the book could mean. He sensed the wind, like all true seers do. And the time that is coming to us will be a time for the humanities. It will be a time when we will be grateful for what technology has brought us, but a time when we will need to remind ourselves over and over again that the music that moves us, the poems that move us, the paintings that move us, those absolutely central humanist values is what will sustain us into the dark days to come. And there will be dark days. But to understand that the function of a library is to provide a safe place for the imaginings of the best of our poets and our artists and our composers, a starting off place for the next phase in the life of the book, that takes a rare and generous soul. And in all this process of delivering the book here, and I am very grateful to Jean Van Cinder-in-Law and to the many people in the university who helped make it possible, I am particularly grateful to John Fitzgerald, who, all unknowing, has now acquired a very large millstone to hang around his neck. I am profoundly grateful, after 20 years of searching for a home for this book, to be able to pass it on to a younger, more intelligent, and certainly better-looking man. I wish him all the luck in the world with it. I have a duty to pay, and it's a mean thing I'm going to do, but it should be done. And then a person whom I will not name, a plutocrat, now a British citizen, was the first person to have the opportunity to buy this book for the nation in July or August 1991. He looked at it with blank incomprehension for 1 minute and 45 seconds and capped his offence by making an off-colour joke about Jean being on a stick later that evening. It wasn't the most auspicious start to process of finding a home for the book. But perhaps, all unknowingly, in his badness, he did us a favour, because I cannot think of a better home for this book. I truly feel, and I encourage you to pay no attention to any suggestions that the Cork Mafia is at work, I truly believe the book has found the home that was always intended for it. I want to end on a personal note, if I may. Entirely by chance, and due to the exigencies of the President's calendar, today was chosen for the day that this will happen. Today is the anniversary of my father's death. And I see so many of my family here tonight. And I just like to think that my dad's response would have been very simple. He said, "Lovely hurling." And one more thing I want to say. I spoke of gratitude at the start, and this is just my own, and it has nothing to do with the formalities of the occasion. But I've been gifted in love for many years now, and I owe it entirely to the agency of this book, because I first met Paula Meehan when she came to put her poem in the great book, and I haven't taken my eyes off her since.